Neighbor Council saying it has sympathy for Massey's family.
I would have never in the world thought the police shot my mom. Like, how?
And what do you know? People are paying attention. The name Sonya Massey is being said in the streets as they converse. People are paying attention, from the White House to the neighborhood, and it seems as though Sonya's narrative has ignited a fire under them that is spreading. But don't even for a moment believe that the Massey family has it easy. It's been a daily fight. It feels like they lost her all over again every time they see Sonya's photo or hear her name in the news. However, they don't give up. They know that Sonya deserves justice and that the streets are burning down. Individuals aren't merely sulking at home after seeing that horrifying video. No, here they are raising a fuss over Sonya Massey. We are talking about protests that are so massive that they are literally visible from space. Thousands of people carrying heart-wrenching banners crowded the streets of Chicago. Look around and see justice for Sonya and Black Lives Matter. However, it goes beyond words on cardboard. Some folks are really angry, and they're letting everyone know it. You ought to have seen the woman in front of the throng who was waving a picture of Sonya with her name printed underneath, along with a big-ass day caption. I can tell you that her name was being mentioned by others. They were loudly screaming, "Sonya Massey." They could definitely hear it throughout the state of Washington.
Say your name! Say your name! Say your name!
Massey's name echoed through Washington Square Park here in New York City. People brought signs demanding justice for the 36-year-old mother. A similar scene on the opposite side of the country. Many protesters in Hollywood now saying enough is enough.
I want to see an end to the hate, the disrespect, the lack of protection.
I think it was time instead of it was like a situation setting place for reform with the police, through reform with police.
They said it's under investigation. Then they said that they told the doctor, the hospital, that she committed suicide first. And then they changed it.
Yeah, they just kept, because they told her that, but they called me, the hospital told me that someone just, so they just telling everybody different stories. We're gonna get justice for sure. I know. We are for sure.
This matter to be cleared up, be investigated, so the family can have answers to how certain things unfolded. If somebody, you listen to it for yourself, if somebody did try to suggest it was self-inflicted, then we need to know who. And there needs to be accountability.
All right, everyone. So let's be honest. If a member of your family had been killed by the police, how many of you would have maintained your calmness? Because the Massey family just changed the rules by demonstrating what true strength looks like in a courtroom. Imagine that Sonya Massey is simply spending time at home with her family on July 6, 2024. Everything appears to be typical, correct? However, something outside frightens her. So she phones 911 in the hopes that someone will arrive to assist her. She had no idea how that phone call would completely upend her life. The moment Deputy Sean Grayson entered the Massey home, there was a great deal of tension in the air. Sonya was undoubtedly mistaken in her belief that she would soon be secure. I can't tell you everything that happened right now, but believe me when I say that what comes next will astound you beyond belief. The events of the following few minutes permanently altered the Massey family's existence. The courtroom was so quiet in that film that you could have heard a pin drop. Holding their breath, everyone was waited for the body cam footage to begin. The Massey family appeared to be about to encounter their greatest fear as they sat there. And believe me, they did. When the video originally starts, all that is seen approaching the Massey residence is Deputy Grayson. But then everything changes to 100. While Sonya is there, she undoubtedly expects assistance, but instead Grayson yells at her as if she is the culprit. However, take note of this. Grayson openly threatens Sonya, threatening to effing shoot you in the face or I swear to God. Is that really true? Speaking in such a fearful manner to an elderly woman who had asked for assistance is a police officer, someone sworn to serve and protect the people. The Massey family is losing it in the courtroom. Sonya's children are crying, her dad appears to be ready to leap out of his seat, and Sonya's mother is trembling. Watching it is heartbreaking, but things only grow worse. Sonya is seen apologizing and attempting to hide in the body cam. She's afraid, and then she gets fired without warning. Grayson gave her 3 times. One of those strikes her squarely in the head and is rather painful. It's incredibly quick and shocking. The shocking thing is that even after he shoots Sonya Grayson, he makes no attempt to assist her, which is what really brought everyone to their knees. He simply says no while standing there. She's finished. That's a headshot, but you can go grab it. It sounds like he's talking about a computer game or that he simply killed out a real person. The Massey family was in complete shock. They're hurting, they're angry, and they want explanations. How is this possible to occur? You may be wondering how someone might call for assistance and end up. But what if they didn't have this film? Ben Crump, the well-known civil rights attorney, has an opinion about it. He said that we would not have known about this incident if it weren't for the body cam footage. That's the real deal, folks. Who knows what story we would have been sold in the absence of this video? The Massey family situation is being altered by more than simply this footage. It's completely shattering this case. People are really, really angry. Even the powerful people in the White House are discussing the demands for justice that the demonstrators are making in the streets. And believe me when I say that this is no longer just about Sonya Massey. It concerns any Black person who has ever been hesitant to ask for assistance from the police. It concerns any police officer who believes they can act any way they choose and yet get away with it. It has to do with changing the system as a whole. But before we delve too further into Deputy Sean Grayson's past, you'd better hold on to your chairs. It's dirtier than a pig in mud, I assure you. Pun intended, you now believe that the body cam video was not good. This man's background is going to leave you speechless. Let's begin by acknowledging that Grayson has changed employment more times than a frog on a pavement. In just 4 years, 6 distinct law enforcement agencies come into play. Most people are not even able to alter their haircut that frequently in 4 years. However, this individual was trading in badges as if they were becoming obsolete. Perhaps he was just looking for the proper fit, you might be thinking. But pay attention. This has nothing to do with fitting in. This is a man who would die trying to hold on to his job. And why did he always lose jobs? Now that we're ready to dive into that tea, fasten your seatbelt. To begin with, Grayson was expelled from the U.S. Army. And we're not just talking about a minor infraction here. No, he was let go for allegedly engaging in wrongdoing. The Army no longer arbitrarily dismisses people. There was no way this could be serious. However, there's more. It's not like Grayson had 1 DUI. No, he had 2.
Nothing in Grayson's background that could have led us to believe that he would commit this act. And we handle thousands of calls every year without incident. We've had 3 officer-involved shootings in the last 24 years. And so my message is that we're still the same sheriff's office. The person that did this is in jail. He's going to face justice in the criminal justice system.
And I am not fabricating any of this. The man who was fired from the Army for not being able to maintain employment and who was twice caught driving under the influence was granted the authority to patrol our streets and make life or death judgments. They put this man on the streets despite knowing that he had trouble making decisions under duress. Can you blame the Massey family for being shocked? This was stated by Sonya's father, James Wilburn. Grayson is a man who ought never to have worn a badge, and Wilburn is completely correct when he says that. Let's discuss what this implies for each of us, though. How on earth did a person with Grayson's background become a deputy? Who is reviewing these submissions? Who is checking people's backgrounds? At the dollar store these days, are they just giving out badges? This goes beyond Grayson alone. This is about a malfunctioning system as a whole. If an individual such as Grayson can elude detection, what is the number of other dishonest law enforcement officers donning badges in this area? You know, the Massey family has been through a lot, but they are determined that Sonya's passing won't go unnoticed. Instead of sobbing uncontrollably, they are now standing tall and demanding justice. They seem to have discovered a strength they were unaware they possessed. Recall how they were breaking down when watching the dashcam video. They're out here now, stirring things up and creating noise. They have been speaking to the media, organizing rallies, and ensuring that everyone is aware of Sonya Massey. It appears as though they switched from to warriors, and James Wilburn, Sonya's father, stood up there demanding justice at one of their marches, his eyes burning. The audience was right there with him, yelling Sonya's name like it was a battle cry. He wasn't just asking. You may be wondering how the Massey family is managing to stay together in the midst of all. Yes, they are intelligent. They created a GoFundMe because they are aware that they need assistance to cope with all of the stress. But notice that it's not only for legal bills or other such expenses. It is for psychological therapy, to ensure that every member of the family can receive the support they require to deal with this trauma. They are attempting to fund $100,000, and they are necessary I assure you, Malachi, Sonya's kid, has suffered greatly. I honestly don't know what to say, he said. I'm feeling under the weather. Can you picture yourself going through anything similar with your mother and then having to watch it on video for everyone to see? This is what's really getting people talking, even though it's enough to break anyone. The Massey family discovered that their initial understanding of Sonya's fate was incomplete. They initially believed she had been killed by a random intruder, but when they realized it was a police officer, it hit them like a ton of bricks.
I got a call from the hospital, actually. I never got a call from the police. But they told me that my mom, she had got shot in the eye, and it came out her neck. And they didn't tell me who, they were just saying somebody. They never would tell me who. They just kept on saying someone shot her. They would never tell me who shot my mom though. So, and I think I was the first person to find it out too. I had to go tell my grandma myself. That's all I can say.
And you kept asking who?
Yeah, they wouldn't tell me at all.
Thank you, Malachi. We know how hard this is on you and son.
They're no longer only battling for Sonya then. For every Black person who has ever been scared to call the police, they are battling. They are not going to give up on their battles for accountability, openness, and change. You ought to have saw them at the rally alongside Reverend Al Sharpton and Ben Crump. They appeared prepared to take on the world as they stood there shoulder to shoulder. Furthermore, Sonya's sister was present and reminded everyone of the true purpose of the fight by holding up a picture of Sonya. The Labor Council expressed their condolences to Massey's family. However, speaking of Washington, even the powerful people there are discussing it because President Biden publicly expressed his sadness over what had happened to Sonya. All Americans, he continued, should be able to call for help without fearing for our lives, no matter who we are or where we live. And that's the sincere truth from God. Harris, the vice president, wasn't messing around either. Sonya Massey phoned the police for assistance, and tragically, an officer sworn to guard and serve killed her in her own house. Kamala stated unequivocally that Massey deserved to be protected. Mama LA tell them that the White House isn't simply talking. George Floyd Justice and Policing Act proponents are making a lot of noise. That one, that's meant to put an end to police acting like lawbreakers. People are speculating that Sonya Massey might still be here if that bill had passed earlier. Let me first say that when I heard and saw the video, I was as outraged as I was when I first saw the video on George Floyd. As outraged as I was when I saw the video with Eric Garner, and I was on the forefront of both of them. I did both of them funerals. At one of the rallies, Reverend Al Sharpton got up there and said something that got everybody fired up. He said that the police should be transparent with their records. The crowd went wild. People are tired of not knowing who's really behind the badge and gun, and it isn't just about Sonya anymore. Her stories got people talking about all the other Black people who've been hurt or killed by the police. It's like Sonya Massey's name has become a battle cry for change. And you know what's really got people heated? The fact that Deputy Grayson, the one who shot Sonya, had all these problems in his past. People are saying, how the heck did this dude even get a badge? It's making everyone look real hard at how the police departments hire folks. And this is another thing that's got people shook. Everyone's realizing that what happened to Sonya could have happened to any of us. That's why you're seeing all kinds of people at these protests. You got Black, white, young, old, rich, and poor. It's like Sonya's story has brought everyone together. I know y'all are probably wondering what happens next, right? Grayson, however, is being charged with a lot of serious offenses. We're talking about official misconduct, 3 instances of first-degree murder, and aggravated battery with a firearm. That would be a serious offense, and if convicted, he might have to serve out the remainder of his life in prison. The prosecution is also not messing around at this point. They're coming in hot, claiming that Grayson had no justification for killing Sonya Massey. They are portraying an image of a trigger-happy police officer who fired first and inquired later. A review of the Illinois State Police investigation, including the body-worn camera footage, does not support a finding that Deputy Sean Grayson was justified in his use of deadly force, declared prosecutor John Milhiser as he stood up to speak. And when he said that, you could have heard a pin drop. However, Grayson's defense unit isn't going to give up easily. They contend that Grayson acted in self-defense after feeling intimidated. They're attempting to portray it as though Grayson chose to defend himself in an instant when his adrenaline was racing. The courtroom is like to a circus, with each side displaying their finest weapons. Expert witnesses for the prosecution discuss appropriate police procedure and argue that Grayson had alternatives. They claim he had the option of trying to defuse the situation or using his taser gun in place of his actual weapon. I know some of you are thinking this is a done deal, but juries aren't often that predictable. And it's difficult to predict which way this will go with all of this back and forth. The Massey family, though, has endured a lot. They've gone from screaming in public to speaking out on national television, and they're making ripples. They are the reason the police department in their town is now receiving actual scrutiny. From the State House to the White House, they've got people talking about police reform, but they haven't stopped there. However, I must know your thoughts on this. Do you believe Officer Gray will serve any jail time? Will there be a real justice this time? Most importantly, do you believe that the police agency is hiding any evidence? I look forward to seeing you in the future video. Please share your opinions and comments below. Then, click the like and subscribe buttons.